Hello, Internet. Welcome to Monday Miniatures Ramble with me, Dr. Ian. It is Monday, the 27th of May, 2019. I have to remind myself it's 2019 still, but it is. Anyway, as usual, let's kick off an episode by talking about finished minis. And from the center, we have probably the nicest paint jobs I've done this week. The past week, that is. These two are the ones that I painted last Monday at the game store at the painting night. We have the Harwood Hobbies Sorcerer with his colorful robes, and then we have the Statuesque Miniatures Commissar, who is in a trench coat. And it was originally painted kind of a drab green, very used realistic. Actual, well, I know saying actual is kind of weird, but the paints from Vallejo Pans Races that supposed to represent the actual Russian uniform colors during World War II. But it looked very drab, so I punched it up with some glazes of brighter green, and I think that looks better. And yeah, so they're done. And then we have these three, which are the various resin models that I picked out that were, well, interesting to me in some ways. They were sort of leftovers. This one turned out the best, and I think possibly because it's the simplest sculpt. The model has an effective, nice pose, and it's hard to screw it up. These two are, I'm not as proud of the results. I didn't wind up spending as much time on them as I would have needed to get them really nice looking. But the thing is, even though they're good sculpts, they're not well cast, or well, the sculpts are so complicated that they're impossible to cast in a way that makes them easy to assemble and paint. And so perhaps they're not the most intelligent sculpts. As I mentioned, I tried to go with some different skin tones here. I tried to go with a bit of more grayish here with I suppose she's some sort of necromancer, so I wanted her to look a bit more dull. And so the shading is, well, literally gray on her skin, but it's kind of subtle, so it's not perhaps immediately noticeable. For this one, as I also mentioned, I decided to make her some sort of narrator or well, some sort of sea creature or something. So I went with the blue skin tones, and it's a bit mottled, a little splotchy, but oh well. There you go. And what's this? Why, it's a surprise. Surprise! I picked out some of the Reaper Bones from the Bones 4 Kickstarter that I wanted to paint, and I just got into the mood, and I just finished these up. I prepped, primed, and painted all these 6 Wraiths, all in just 1 week. So, yeah, pretty basic paint jobs, metal armor, white robes. Originally I started out with that, but then I decided to glaze on some green because I wanted to get more of a spooky look, and yeah, I think they're pretty effective for such simple creatures. And I think I would say that these are the original, or well, the previous Bones material, not Bones Black. The Kickstarter is like a mix. Some models are the new Bones Black materials, some are not. It's kind of half and half, it seems. These were probably some of the older batch, but yeah. I like them. I think they turned out nice. And Whoa, here's a little view of them from behind. See the shading? It's kind of subtle, but I didn't want to go over the top with it. Some nice spooky wraiths. I present to you the cast of Cats. Well, they're not finished yet. I mean, if I recall correctly, I hadn't even primed them last week, but they are primed now, and they've got some base coats on them, mostly on the bases, and a little bit of metallic, some of the leather I've worked on. It's early days yet. Yeah, we'll see if I have more time. This is a big project, as I've mentioned. This and as you've seen, it's already been sort of queue jumped by one project, and who knows, that might happen again, simply because these are more time consuming, and there is stuff available to me that is easier, faster, and perhaps even more fun to paint. Because while I do like these models, and I like the dynamism of them, and the poses, and as I've said, the three-dimensionality of it, it's very, very nice. But the material does leave something to be desired. And some of the detail in the sculpting is a little shallow and hard to pick out. And that just means it's not bad. It's just more difficult. It's more work to get something nice out of these. But I'll keep working at it, and hope everything turns out for the best. This is the only really armored dude. He has a chainmail shirt. Or mail shirt, I should say. Chainmail is a neologism, a modern term. Yeah. Let's see what else. And here we see some prep stuff. We have the Shield Wolf minis up front. Now this guy actually had two alternate heads. If you remember the picture, the box art, or blister art, that was showing the other head, which was bare-headed with an eye patch, but I went with a fancy hat instead. That was kind of the feather broke off, and it had to be reattached. Hopefully it'll hold better now. This was also a multi-part model, a lot of different stuff on it. This was a single piece, no problem there. I maybe placed it a bit too far back on the base, but oh well. The demon thingy, well, it did not fit together all that. There were lots of gaps after attaching the arms. I don't know if I've managed to disguise them enough. Time will tell. And then I went with, apart from the wraiths, I went with these statues. There were two sets of statues, the Amazon statues and the Spartan statues, and they came with these plinths to stand up. But I've not attached them to those because I'm thinking these are probably living statues or golems of some sort, and so I want them to be able to stand on these but step off them. And that makes the basing kind of tricky because they come with these very small integral bases that are designed, of course, to fit on top of the pillars. So they're not too big, but they are not wide enough for a creature of this size, really. So a little unstable. The only real issue I had with these was that, if you can tell, each of these two sets come with, let's see where is. Don't know if you can tell. Oh, hang on. Okay, so now we have a close-up, and you can see that one statue is cracked and has a lot of wear on it, and the other is smooth, and the other set is the same, the Spartans. However, it was also the case that the heads were separate with the helmets, and the pegs, the neck stumps were clearly designed to fit certain heads and not others, and they were swapped. They have cast it so that the cracked helmet fits on the smooth body and vice versa. So I had to change that, and that required some remodeling, some knife work, some some plastic surgery, I might say. But that was about it. Otherwise, I think these might be bones black, because most of the pieces were really harder than normal bones. The spears were a bit wobbly, but that's because they're so thin. They had to be straightened. I used the hot and cold water method, or well, boiling in ice water as usual. And you can see here, one smooth and one cracked. In this case, the helmet's lined up with the proper bodies without me needing to modify them. But yeah. So when I first saw pictures of these, I thought I might paint them as bronze statues, but with these cracks, it's got to be stone. I've considered marble, but yeah, that's too difficult. I don't. Well, I mean, we'll see what I do with them. Yeah. So for next week's store painting project, let's go with some babes, some bombshell babes from Bombshell Miniatures. I have a few of these that I picked up over the years, and some have been painted even, but let's do a couple more. And I picked out actually the first two they ever did, the first two in their babes line, 10,001 and 10,002. Megan the Buccaneer and Sally Starfield. So they're very different. One is a pirate, fantasy pirate, you'd have to say. Not that there's anything especially magical about it, but the way she's dressed looks a little unhistorical, but maybe that's just me. Never mind. And Sally here is a space-suited, rocket-packed sci-fi character. So, yeah. Not a whole lot more to say about that. Really? You'll see them prepped next week. And let's see what's in the mountain of plastic. For next week, what do I need to start painting? Whoa, what new projects do I need? I mean, I've got a bunch of minis in the queue already, and as I've mentioned, I'm not sure I'll be finishing all of them. Maybe I want to paint something that's easier, like I said, than the cats. And I was thinking, this scenery. This is the fantasy scenery pack. There's 6 different bits of scenery, and individually packaged. So this is all the bits for one particular thing, for example, and here's all the bits for another. So I'm thinking, I want to take on these, but not all at once. I'm thinking I'll do like one of these per week, and one other project, one other bit of bones, or sort of collection of bones. And I've pretty much decided that I will start now after I mean, the stuff I've prepped so far has been from the add-ons, and this was also an add-on, but I want to get stuck in on the core set. And I don't know exactly what bit of the core set yet that I want to do. Probably not the dragon. Oh, maybe these guys. That's. I think these are like translucent plastic, so that would be a really simple, hacky paint job. I could crank that out quickly. Yeah, I really can't give you an answer. You'll just have to tune in next week to find out
what I chose. But I promise, in coming weeks, I'll be better about that. I'll open this up and I'll sort through all of it and make some sort of list, or queue it up in some way that I decide what I want to paint first. But until next week, that was it from me for this week. Hope you had fun. Click like if you did. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Comment on what you thought was interesting this time around. Share the video and see me again in a week. I'll be here as always, same time, same channel, same Dakion. Till then, signing off.